Good morning, dear students. Today's topic, which I'll be explaining to you, is going to be the valuation of unsold stock in consignment. By now, you all must have come to know what is consignment and the various parties in consignment, the consignor and consignee. Consignment is nothing but the goods which are sent by the owner of the goods to the agent to sell on behalf of him is consignment. So here in consignment, just a quick revision for you. Consignment, the goods are sent by the consignor to the consignee. Consignee is the agent and consignor is the principal. So now why the goods are being sent? Because the consignor cannot be at every place for his goods to be sold, and also the consignee, why he's taking up so that he can earn commission out of it. Now here in consignment, what are the things you need to know is the amount of goods sent on consignment, and what is the commission rate fixed, what are the expenses put up by the consignor, what are the expenses put up by the consignee, and valuation of unsold stock, the stock which is left out, which is not sold. So what generally companies they do is, by end of the year, they value their unsold stock. So this stock, either they can take it at the market price at that moment, or the cost price of the items at the time of production and purchase also. And also all the non-recurring expenses which are put up by the consignor and consignee, because they increase the value of the goods, they are to be included. So that is what we'll be doing in valuation of goods, dear students. About the non-recurring expenses of the consignor, what are the non-recurring expenses? For you, it is very important to understand non-recurring means which doesn't repeat. Recurring doesn't repeat means it is paid just one time. So that is called as non-recurring expenses. You need to have a very clear idea what are the non-recurring expenses that a consignor bears and what are the non-recurring expenses a consignee puts, because these expenses will add it to the goods which are sent on consignment, and at last we'll come to know whatever goods is not sold, what is its true value. Why we should value the unsold stock is to know the actual profit and loss of the organization. So if we are talking about the non-recurring expenses of the consignor, it will be the freight. Freight is nothing but, children, the transportation which is done. It could be either roadways, railways, or airways, waterways, and also the carriage and the cartage, which is again used for transportation. Carriage and cartage is nothing but the carts which are driven by animals. We can say again, if they are used for transportation. Then the loading charges, the packing charges. See, if you see all these charges, they are just paid once. Like loading, it is done once by the consignor. Then packing also, it is done once. And in case if there is any dock dues. Now what is dock dues? Now as I said, the transportation when we do through waterways, the goods will be unloaded at the docks, at the harbor. There you'll have to pay the amount towards the services whatever the dock is providing us. So that comes under dock dues. And in case if there are any custom duties to be paid, that also will be included. Now custom duty means the tax which is paid on the exports and imports of our country. So these will be the different non-recurring expenses of the consignor, dear students. And in case if we are speaking about the non-recurring expenses of the consignee, again we have the freight, carriage and cartage. Then we have dock dues here, same custom duties. Now there in consignor we had loading charges, here we have unloading charges, and you'll also have to add the octroi if it is paid any. Now what is octroi? Octroi is the tax, dear students, which is put up by the state government for the goods to enter into their state, either for production or consumption. So these are the non-recurring expenses. You'll have to remember these list of different things which come under the heading of non-recurring expenses. Then Recurring expenses. Now, what are the expenses that keep on repeating? If we see, in case if we talk about the consignor, the first and foremost recurring expenses is the bank charges which are taken by the bank when the bill is being discounted. I already explained you in our previous class, the bill either it will be received as a remittance towards the sales by the consignee, or it could be as an advance. When the consignee pays, a bill can be drawn. So in case if the consignor needs the bill, he can take this document to the bank, get it discounted and get the money. So when bank is providing this activity, obviously bank is going to charge an amount that is again a recurring expenses which will happen every time the bill goes to the bank. And the next one would be the repairs or the amounts which the consignor is paying on the damaged goods. There is no guarantee. I mean, there is a tendency of goods being damaged. So whenever a good is damaged, it has to be repaired before it is sold. Excuse me. So every time whenever the repairs are to be paid, the consignor pays it. So again, this is a recurring expense which the consignor has to pay. Now, if we are talking about the recurring expenses which are put up by the consignee, the first and foremost we can say every expense which is related to the sales of the item, that comes under recurring expense, like advertisement expenses. Okay, then any rent on godown is to be paid. Rent, because it is paid every month, it is happening, it is repeating, that is why it is called as a recurring expense. Godown insurance, once the insurance expires, it has to be renewed again. So it is a process which is going on. In case if any salaries the consignee has to pay during the during the selling process, that is again a recurring expense. Commission which is being paid to the agent, every time he sell, the commission has to be paid. So it is a recurring expense. So these were the list of the recurring and non-recurring expenses, dear students. Let us go further with our illustrations. So please see to it that the list of recurring and non-recurring expenses are there on page number 97 of your textbook. Let us see illustration number 3, how the valuation of unsold stock is to be done. Have a look. Kishore of Guntur sent 200 bicycles costing rupees 1,20,000 to Pavan of Vijayawada on consignment. So here Kishore is consignor and Pavan is consignee. Now have a look what Kishore has spent for. Kishore has spent 6,000 towards freight and insurance in transit. Means here, before you solve this illustration, dear students, it's a must that you should know what are the recurring expenses of the consignor and the consignee. At the same time, what are the recurring expenses of the consignor and consignee. So here if we see the freight and insurance in transit, this is a non-recurring expense. So what we'll do is we have to add it to the cost of our bicycles. Okay, then what happened? Have a look in the question. Pavan spent unloading charges. Yes, it is a non-recurring expense. So we will add this also. Godown rent we will not take because this happens every month, every quarterly or every half yearly as agreed to the terms and conditions. So godown rent being a recurring expense will not take in the calculation of valuation of unsold stock. Now what happened here? See, consignee sold 180 bicycles at rupees 2 lakhs. How many bicycles were sent by Kishore? 200. So how many bicycles he already sold? 180. So what is the unsold stock here? 20 cycles. Now we have to calculate what is the price of 20 cycles at the time of sales. So here we'll just take this amount and we'll add all the non-recurring expenses. That will be the actual cost of 20 bicycles. And what are you asked to do here? Calculate the value of closing stock. So here is illustration 3. Valuation of closing stock, unsold stock will be our heading. Particulars, amount in rupees and amount in rupees. This inner column amount is for calculation and the outer column is the final answer which will be writing there. So how many bicycles we are given? We are given 200 bicycles. So first we will write the cost of 200 bicycles. BICYCL, yes. So how much is the cost? The starting one, 1,20,000, which is given in your illustration. Okay. Now, as I said, we need to add the non-recurring expenses by the consignor, who is Kishore, and also we need to add the non-recurring expenses incurred by Pavan, who is the consignee. Okay. So add first one. First point will be the non-recurring expenses of the consignor, and second point will be the non-recurring expenses by the consignee. So we will put it as non-recurring expenses incurred by Kishore, who is the consignor. How much we have seen? 6,000. So we will put that in inner column. Then second point will be same in addition column, non-recurring expenses consignee's name given to us is Pavan, incurred by Pavan. You can mention it in the brackets that Kishore is the consignor and Pavan is the consignee. It will be more clear. Okay, consignee. And even if you want to mention the expenses, you can put that also in brackets over here. Like we had a transit and insurance, freight and insurance. Here we have the unloading charges. We are not taking the go down rent. Only unloading charges. If you see in the question, how much is it? 1,200. This 800 we are not going to touch it because we need only the non-recurring expenses which won't happen again. So it will be the unloading charges which will be taken. That is 1,200. So 6,000 plus 1,200 together will have 7,200, which you will add to the above amount. So what is the cost of all the 200 bicycles at the time of unsold stock? 1,27,200. Okay. So here we will close it, and opposite to it just write down value of 200 bicycles. Okay. So this is the total cost of the bicycles which the consignor has incurred. Okay, the cost of bicycles which he wanted them to be sold, expenses which he has to bear, these expenses also are to be borne by the consignor. Now we know what is the total amount of bicycles we have. We have total bicycles 200, and what is the, okay, let us deduct the bicycles which are sold. 180 bicycles are sold. So, how many bicycles are left unsold? 20 bicycles. So, just write down unsold. Okay. Like if you see 200 bicycles, the cost of 200 bicycles, if it is 1,27,200, what is the cost of 20 bicycles? We'll do cross multiplication. That is 20 into 1,27,200. Divide it by 200, you'll get an amount of 12,720. Okay, so this will be the value of those 20 bicycles. This we will show in our consignment account towards the credit side. So this is how the whole sum is to be solved. Okay, so that was our illustration number 3. Right, here is our illustration number 4. X sends 500 radios costing rupees 1,000 each to Y on consignment. So here X is consignor and Y is consignee. How many radios is sent? 500 radios. Each 1,000 means the total price, the value of goods sent is 5 lakhs. Now what happened next? X spent rupees 50,000 towards expenses. Y spent 12,000 as advertisement, and consignee sold 400 radios each at 1,200 rupees. We are asked to calculate the value of unsold stock. Okay, now here we have taken the radios, like here heading will be valuation of unsold stock, particulars, amount and amount. Cost of 500 radios is 500 multiply it by 1,000, you will get 5 lakh rupees. Now whatever expenses X has kept, because it is not given whether it's a recurring or any heading, we'll take it as non-recurring expense and we will add it to the cost of 500 radios. Now Y has spent 12,000 as advertisement. If you see advertisement is a recurring expense which should not be taken in the valuation of unsold stock. So non-recurring expenses by Y, we will not have anything. Okay, so only 50,000 will be added. So at the time of the stock, end of the accounting year, what is the total value of 500 radios? 5,50,000. Number of radios sold is 400. So stock left out, which is unsold, is 100 radios. So what we'll do is 500 radios, if the cost is 5,50,000, 100 radios is of how much? So what we'll do is 100 into 5,50,000, divide it by 500. The value will be 1,10,000. Okay. Here there is one zero missing in the figure 5,50,000. So just be a bit careful about that. And if you see, the note is also given, advertisement paid by consignee is a recurring expenses. Hence, advertisement is not included in the valuation of closing stock. Okay. So here heading, you just take it as valuation of closing stock or valuation of unsold stock. So this was about illustration number 4, dear students. What you'll do as a part of your homework is, you will try to, understand illustration number 5. Understand it, how it is done, and you will be solving question number 3 from your textual exercises. Thank you. Thank you for the day. Have a good weekend, dear students.